Hello and welcome to the Advocate segment of Legal Focus, where we meet legal luminaries who have made their mark in the learned profession. Our special guest this week is the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Jubrin Samuel Okutepa. Good to have you on the program, sir.
Good to have you too.
Welcome, sir.
It's a privilege.
Sir, talk to us about your childhood. Let's get to know you. And at what point did you decide to become a lawyer?
My childhood is, I was born into what I may refer to as poverty. And I grew up in poverty, and I live with poverty. And poverty and I became friends. But when God chose to lift a man, he can do anything. So God lifted me from that dungeon of poverty to where I am today. So I didn't have the privilege of going to school. I was a farmer. I've been everything that any poor person should be. I was a roadside mechanic. I was a taxi driver. And I didn't have the privilege of attending formal schools, so to say. I recall my dad didn't want me to go to school because I was the only one farming. So I ran away to my maternal uncle, late Sergeant Amodu Ebunuwani, who was living in a place called Mararaba Baesa in the present Takum local government of Taraba State. Then he spoke to his friend, one Mr. Omuru Fonga, may his soul rest in peace, his too is late, who permitted me to write my first school leaving certificate examination along with other persons who were in the school. And so in 1980, I searched for first school leaving certificate and I came second.
Wow.
Out of the class. So by 1985, I went to School of Basic Studies to study economics, government, and Christian religious studies at advanced level. And I came out in 1987 with 11 points. That was the result that I got admission to read law in the prestigious University of Jos.
Interesting.
And then became qualified as a lawyer by the grace of God in 1991, December 12 to be precise. And then from December 12 till today, I've consistently been in and out of court, except on non-juridical day. So, and by the grace of God, on the 7th of July 2011, I was found worthy in knowledge and character and in learning, and I was conferred with the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria.
Okay, sir, kindly take us through your era of apprenticeship as a lawyer.
Yes, there are so many stories, but let me cut it short. My first principal is Mrs. Francisca Ebofami Neza. Is married to my very good friend and my brother, Mr. Matthew Okwen Neza, the man whom God also used to make me who I am today. That's the story of another day. And so I started my pupillage with Mrs. Neza the very moment I was called to bar. I stayed with her for some times. Then I got another employment with another second principal, E.A. Aruna, Emmanuel Akue Aruna, also in Makurdi. And by 1st April 1993, I got permission from my second principal to set up my law firm. Then I set up my law firm on the 1st of April 1993 under the name and style of Agama Okutepa & Co. At number 51 Railway Bypass, High Level Makurdi. And I practiced there for a long time under very tough but satisfying environment, because under Benue Judiciary, that I trained, it was a judiciary headed by the then Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Alhassan Indoko, judiciary that was second to none. If you go to court, you come back, you see juries of credit and repute, people like late Aboy John Ikongbe, who ended up at the Court of Appeal, Justice of Court of Appeal, and died. People like Adam Onum talk about his Lordship, Honorable Justice A.J.B. Cornell, of the Supreme Court,
yeah.
late Justice D.T. Ahura, and J.S.K. of Court of Appeal now, and my Lord Justice Tinetu talk about the other jurists. So those were lawyers. And then let me not forget the judge that I first appeared before his court. And he was a judge that has all the embodiment, all the attributes of a judicial officer. Late Justice E.O. Ogbole of blessed memory. He was the first judicial officer that appeared on the 19th of December 1991 in a matter involving Radio Benin. Our client then was Ms. Honorable Tayem Bashija. He's now a professor. We have a case against Radio Benin. And I had the privilege of appearing against one of my very close friends, Professor Agbo Madaki, who had thought that I was a senior lawyer, and the argument was flowing, and his Lordship Justice Ogbole listened to me with the patience of a judge. And I came from law school with the theory of law, but I didn't appreciate the practice of law, although I lost the case. But my learned friend, Chief Agbo Madaki, took me out for lunch. That he's not seen a lawyer like that. And he asked me how old I was, and I said, no, this is my first appearance. So he was excited and took me out for lunch. So then I was with my first principal, Mrs. Neza. It was our case.
But looking at your experience and journey so far, any regrets, and also how would you define the Nigerian judicial environment?
Well, if I have a choice to come to this world again, I will come as a lawyer. I have no regret being a lawyer. Being a lawyer is a privilege bestowed on you by God. And like I have always said, it is only the legal profession that is the light of the society. And when you belong to that profession of noble men and women of virtues, there are a lot of responsibility bestowed on you, one of which you must be consistently consistent in your integrity. You must not pollute the stream of justice. And I'm happy that even when poverty was written all over me, when I became lawyer, I didn't have the temptation to corrupt any judicial officer or to negotiate with any adversaries or to take any pecuniary benefits from any matter I was briefed to handle. So any matter that I had decided to take when I became a lawyer, I did those cases with a commitment of an evangelist. It was as if my life depended on it. So because looking at my background from where I come from, and a man without formal education, this Nigerian society where people are faced with all manner of injustices here and there, I propose that anyone that briefs me or anyone that I take up his matter, I would do it with the commitment within the ambit of the rules of professional conduct, and then ensure that justice is done. So I have no regret being a lawyer. Now, back to the other question of looking at Nigerian judiciary, the environment.
Yes.
I think, speaking for myself and for the benefit of eyesight, I think Nigerian judiciary is operating under very excruciating and very polluted environment. And I give kudos to Nigerian judicial officers. Indeed, the environment under which they work offer them the temptation. And it can only take the spirit of a Joseph being on the bench to resist advances of Potiphar's wife. Because you know that Nigerian environment offers itself for corruption. Even as a lawyer, sometimes you hear clients coming to say, what will you do for Judge H or B? If you are not a lawyer of integrity, most of these clients will lure you to go and commit some conduct that are unbecoming of a legal practitioner.
So have you had that experience?
Except you are not in Nigeria, there will be a temptation. But you must purpose in your heart, like Daniel of the scripture, not to defile yourself with the king's meat and the king's wife, wine, so you must take vegetable. And when you take vegetable, you are fresh. So when they come speaking to me, I say, sorry, I've never done, and I do not intend to do, and I will not do it. Because if you agree to do it, I mark you under the legal rules of professional conduct. You are not to advertise yourself. You won't see signboard. So my advert is my integrity.
Yeah.
So if you come to tell me this is what you want to do, and I say I will not do it, you carry the tail. But if I agree to take money from you and say I want to go and bribe a judicial officer, you will be the one to tell that Mr. Okutepa, you see, is speaking jazz. Back to the story of your question. The environment is not conducive for judicial officers, particularly our political class. They do not believe that a judge can give judgments without being induced. So, we as lawyers, we need to advocate for the environment for judicial officers to be improved upon. In those days, judges live in GRAs. You don't visit judges anyhow. Judges don't go for functions. Judges don't go to welcome president and governors at the airport because they are special breed of person.
Yeah.
And there's a theory of law that you mustn't give an appearance. And when there is an appearance of impropriety on the part of a judge, he is disqualified from adjudication. So, judges have to train themselves also not to give appearance of impropriety. And that's why I found that sometimes you see judges who receive calls from prominent politicians or going to lobby prominent politicians for employment for their wards. By the time you do so, you have opened up yourself to a lot of temptations, because like late Abiola said, the hand of the giver is always on top. So once somebody is giving you something, it's on top of you.